I want your body to receive. And so many times we look at exercise as tearing down or depleting us. Just shift a little bit mindset-wise and think about receiving. Think about that cardio allows your body to reduce stress, and that weight bearing allows your body to sculpt the bone and the muscle, and that being touched evokes pleasure. I'm Haylie Pomroy. Thank you so much for joining the movement, for becoming part of this revolution. One of the favorite things that I get to do every day is answer thousands of questions from all across the United States and the globe. And tonight I want to answer some questions that you guys have given to me. So the first question is, are metabolic differences genetic? Can they be genetic? Can weight gain or these disease propensities be passed on familially? Absolutely they can. And so it's whether our body manifests or expresses those genes that we carry. So individuals, we see families that have weight history. We see families that have cholesterol history, cardiovascular history. I had a gentleman that came into my office that was 35 years old and was on cholesterol medication. And, he wasn't overweight, really. He just, maybe had a few pounds to trim off around the waist. And he said to me, and I'm always wanting to fix everything. And he says, oh, don't worry about it. My cholesterol's familial. Everybody in my family has it. And I said, not on my watch. I was like, you're way too young to be on Lipitor. And he was having, physiological effects from it, some memory and cognition issues. So I do believe that there are things that we carry forward with us genetically, but it doesn't mean that we, as the person here right now, have to actually express them. So it's a really good question. Who wrote this? Someone asked me, must I give up coffee? You must have read my book. I actually suggest that you give up coffee for the 28 days of rehab. Coffee does stimulate the adrenals in a way that if you have a healthy metabolism, it's fine, because your body doesn't just produce one hormone with the adrenals. It produces cortisol, but if it's balanced and you don't have a slow metabolism, for all the cortisol caffeine stimulates, it also stimulates another hormone, another balancing hormone called aldosterone. So individuals that metabolism isn't broken down, I'm not a huge advocate of caffeine, quite frankly, just, from a lot of health perspectives, but if your metabolism is good, most people tolerate caffeine very well. If your metabolism is broke, you get more cortisol than you do aldosterone, and it's very difficult to lose weight. So we have some great tips. I tell people to look at things like fenugreek or feverfew, for headaches, hydration. Usually it takes about 3 days. But I always say this, if it's really hard to get off coffee, that means your body's dependent on the caffeine for energy. And wouldn't you rather just have the energy naturally? So, yeah, I'm gonna take it away from you. But there's Pero, there's all kinds of great, really good alternative things nowadays. Pero's not gluten-free though, so just be careful about that. I do have you set coffee aside for 28 days if you have a slow metabolism. Your body doesn't have the ability to use caffeine in a balanced way. You have a tendency to produce way more cortisol than aldosterone if your metabolism isn't efficient. The other thing that we want to look at is caffeic acid, how it works in the way the liver both detoxifies toxins that are ultimately stored in the fat if we can't get rid of them, and also how the liver determines where or where not to put sugars. Does it store it glycogen in the muscle, develop healthy muscle, or does it store it for fat? So if the metabolism's off, we put the coffee away. Now, if an individual has a situation that they can't get off of coffee, you do it, and you do the fast metabolism diet, and you do the very best that you can. This is a loaded question. Why don't doctors know this stuff? You guys want me to make it out of here alive, right? This is why I own my own business and I employ doctors. It's because I'm very opinionated, obviously. But it's also because, as I shared with you guys, my personal health struggles led me to knock down doors and barriers I've been practicing for 20 years. 10 years ago, I was banging down doors on doctors' offices to get answers and to get, a foot in the door. 20 years later, they're banging down my doors. I've been flown to Brigham and Women's Hospital. I've worked with Cleveland Clinic, Johns Hopkins, Mayo Clinic. Several doctors fly me in to consult on their most difficult cases. And I honestly think that they're very busy and they don't have the time to neurotically sit and do all the research that I do. I finally found a place where my neurosis has a home. But really, this is medicine. Food is medicine. Food is our first line of defense. Culturally, it's used in so many ways. And I really do believe that the health crisis that we're in is going to force a lot more doctors to know this. Right now, I just get stacks of charts on my desk, and they go, help them out, could you? You know what I mean? But I will say it's also about you guys advocating for your own health. When you get 3 to 7 minutes with your doctor, if you're lucky, and you don't walk in the door, and I always tell my clients this. I don't know why, I love the number 9. And I say, when you walk in the door, I want you to always introduce yourself. I don't care if you play golf with them on Sunday. I want you to introduce yourself. I want you to tell them something unique about you so that they don't forget you. Whether it's, did you know my favorite color is purple? And they write, she's a little crazy. or that you just had a child or a grandchild that graduated from college. Make them know who you are when they walk in the door. I work in a practice where we see over, not me personally, our practice sees over 300 patients a day. So they're busy. And although your concerns might be your primary focus, your concerns aren't always theirs. So I always say, first and foremost, let them know who you are, let them know something interesting about you, make them go, wow, she's beautiful eyes, something that stands out, and then walk in the door with 9 questions and 1 request. So I always say, share something about yourself and ask them 9 things about why or what's going on with you. I promise you, being in a family medicine practice, we have, endocrinologists, nephrologists, functional medicine docs, DOs, cardiovascular, breast diagnostics in our office, and they don't always know that you're interested in getting healthy. When the questions start to get long, that's when they pass them over to me. They go, But, I can't really, there are phenomenal doctors out there that are practicing functional medicine that are fully aware. There's tremendous, Cleveland Clinic, I went to an event, a fundraiser for the Cleveland Clinic, and cardiovascular. And it was just incredible, and it was amazing, and they were raising money for their facilities. And at the end of it, they were, the very next day, for a breakfast, they were speaking. And this cardiologist stood up, and he said, we are the best at cardiovascular diagnostic. We are the best for intervention. We are the best for surgery. We are the leaders. We're pioneers in treating heart disease. But there is a way that you guys can never end up under my care. And that's by taking control of your diet. So we want to prevent the intervention. What if I don't have a metabolism? You wouldn't be sitting in the audience. As long as we are breathing, there is hope to speed up the metabolism. Every day, our bodies are healing. I was using the analogy the other day with my kids about a paper cut. And I said, isn't that amazing? Look at how fast your body healed. Can you imagine what just went on inside? In my brain, I'm going, are they getting enough vitamin K? Is it going to heal fast enough? But what I'm hearing from you is that your metabolism is very, very slow. That no matter what you eat, no matter what you do, your body isn't burning through food and fat, and it's pooling blood sugars, and it's pooling lipids in the bloodstream. And take the time to heal yourself. Take the time to look at ways to use food. My program's very strategic because I'm in a clinical setting. We have in-house labs. If someone goes on my program and their cholesterol doesn't get better, I kind of look the fool, right? A little bit of pressure. But because of that, I really expect true clinical results from this program. And it was It was a stretch for me to actually go out and publish a book because, again, as you've heard, I've been in practice for 2 decades. But, I know my clients need me, and I didn't realize, I had no idea, quite frankly, what an impact it would make when I opened the doors. And it's been overwhelming. It's really been overwhelming. And we've had so many incredible people that have just had life-changing experiences. And really, it's just because they took the time to take care of themselves. It really doesn't have anything to do with me. So you have a metabolism. It just needs to go to rehab. What about artificial sweeteners? If it's fake, take a break, right? So, I mean, I got asked a question the other day by a magazine. They said, what is the #1 thing you could have people do to make an impact on their health? And I said, don't ever, ever, ever touch artificial sweeteners. Probably one of my biggest pet peeves. I mean, I'll make brownies and cupcakes and hot fudge sundaes at my house, but you will not see artificial sweeteners go in my kid's mouth. Did I say I make brownies? We absolutely do. So I'm completely opposed. I'm very against them. I cannot believe, with all the science and research that's out there, that we actually still have that stuff on our shelves. It is disheartening. I have a science background, in case you didn't notice. Being a scientist for this many years and seeing the studies that have come out over and over and over again, not only does it slow the metabolism, not only is the potential there for cancers, not only is the potential there for diabetes, I don't think there's ever been a study that shows that there are no side effects from eating artificial sweeteners. So it's one of those that there's a lot of things you'll find in my cupboard, but not that. What about someone that's gluten intolerant? The program is completely, you can completely do it if you're gluten-free, if you have celiac. There's a couple recipes, and I note them in the cookbook. There's a barley recipe that's not gluten-free. I sometimes advocate certain types of sprouted grain breads, and those aren't always gluten-free, so you want to watch for those. But it's absolutely, and as a matter of fact, it depends on why you're gluten-free. If you're celiac and your gluten intolerance is autoimmune based, celiac is an autoimmune disorder, which I'm super familiar with, unfortunately. If you're celiac, it is so important that you keep an efficient metabolism. It is so important that your body's immune system, the anti-inflammatory aspect, that your body's immune system receives this kind of tender, loving care. So critical. This is a great one. Are vitamins and supplements an important part of the program? I grew up personally taking a lot of vitamins and supplements. My mother's an acupuncturist. She has a PhD in reproductive endocrinology. Her first master's was in optical physics, and her second was in Oriental medicine. So I personally am a huge advocate of vitamin and supplements. I know I shared with you guys that I was diagnosed with an autoimmune disorder. I have a bleeding disorder called antiplatelet antibodies. And since I was 19, I've used vitamins and herbs, Chinese herbals, vitamins and supplements as an integral part of my health. I still go see a hematological oncologist every 6 months. And I love to just wow him, impress him with my beautiful labs. And again, stopped taking the prednisone and didn't have to do another bone marrow biopsy since I've been 22 years old. So for me, they've been a very integral part of my life. Do they have to be part of the plan? Absolutely not. But they absolutely can too. I'll just to jump on that for a second. I use micronutrients therapeutically. And so in my clinic, I have a natural pharmacy, if you'll call it. And so sometimes we'll use, sun-theanine or theanine to help shift individuals that have depression or seizures at fairly high levels, again, under medical supervision. So I've seen it work, profoundly clinically. And I grew up with it. So that's kind of where I stand on vitamins. I'm over 70 years old. Can my metabolism change at this age? Absolutely. Absolutely. I have a client that I'm going to go spend some time with here on the East Coast who came to me at 73. And we went down like 27 pounds pretty fast, just kind of changing a few things. And I whipped him into shape really good. He's 83. And even 10 years later, I'm still after like those last 5 or 10 pounds, just because I think he needs it at this age. So age is not at all a deterrent for being healthy. As I said, before I left here, I went and I needed some words of wisdom, a little bit of confidence boost, and so I stopped by and saw my grandmother, who's 97 years old, and she has an immense amount of health, which I'm so happy for. And she's very funny though, because she is very aware of kind of what I do and stuff. And so there's a woman that sits at the table across from her all the time, and she says, "When you get back, can you work on her for a little bit?" And I'm like, "Sure, Gigi, no problem." So age does not, we have in our practice, we have pediatrics that have broken metabolisms. So 70's nothing. Talk to me when you're like 97. We'll go out, drink margaritas, not worry about it. How much exercise is required for success? So my dream, my fantasy, is that you'll do 1 day of cardio, that you'll do 1 day of weight bearing, and that you will sincerely do 1 day of non-sexual, intimate physical contact. And what I mean by that, says what? Is that it's so healing to have the body stimulated. I mean, it increases blood flow. It increases feel-good hormones. And so massage is a really great one. I always say, touch yourself often or pay others to do it, but please do it. I always say that, don't I? But what I mean by that is that we need that physical stimulus. So many of us, the only stimulus we get is, pulling our pants on every day. And that's not always the most pleasurable experience. So we need that. So, do I have a lot of people that lose weight and don't exercise? Absolutely. I firmly believe that moving and stimulating this body that we have is very important. I'm a huge advocate for physical therapy too. Individuals that don't have the ability, and get after your doctor on this one. If you don't have the ability to exercise, if you've got pain, if you've got lack of movement, get into a physical therapist and lay there and say, okay, Haylie said today I'm supposed to do something to cause microsculpting in my muscle. And they will take you through certain muscle movements that you won't hurt yourself with, but that you'll actually stimulate those hormones for repair. And then on Monday and Tuesday, lay there and say, now I'm supposed to do something to get my heart rate up. And they will take you through a series of exercises that can help increase blood flow. And then on the third day, say, now I'm supposed to do something to stimulate my physical body. Maybe they'll put you in a sauna, a far infrared sauna, a heat sauna, maybe a whirlpool. I want your body to receive. And so many times we look at exercise as tearing down or depleting us. Just shift a little bit mindset-wise and think about receiving. Think about that cardio allows your body to reduce stress, and that weight bearing allows your body to sculpt the bone and the muscle, and that being touched evokes pleasure. Last question. Oh, this is a great one. Do I have clients that stay on the diet for more than 28 days? Absolutely. Absolutely do. You could eat this way for the rest of your life and build on your health every day. There is not a nutrient that you would be deficient of. We have all kinds of plans for people that we call it phase 1, unwind stress, phase 2, unlock stored fat, phase 3, unleash the burn, and then I have phase 4, living your life on fire. I mean, there's all kinds of ways that as a community, we're constantly, tweaking and playing with food and adding new recipes. If you have more weight to lose, you stay on the program and you cycle through it. And some people take breaks, and some people, we have ways that some people say, okay, I'm getting ready to travel, and so we flip-flop the days because it's a lot easier to travel. That's why I put phase 3 on Friday, Saturday, Sunday. actually thought this one through. Took me about 20 years to get there, but and so sometimes people say, I'm traveling Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and we'll flip-flop the phases. So there's all kinds of tricks and ways, like I talked about, that we're putting in kind of from a supplemental perspective to show you how to deal in the real life world. I mean, my dream is that you'll kind of sit down. We've got super simple meal maps in there. Individuals that like to make fancy food, individuals that like to make super easy food. Again, we have 5 kids. I'm a big crocker. I actually was crocking and driving the other day and blew out a fuse in our car. True story. And true story. And but that's okay. But and I do a lot of freezing. I kind of make meals and stuff like that. And the food that I have in there is I made every single. Again, I found a home for my neurosis. I made every single recipe myself, both in the book, which is 66, and 200 that are in the cookbook. Those I made. Just wanted to make sure they were easy and they tasted good. Thank you so much for asking these incredible questions and having a curiosity for your health. Remember, we're here for you in our community. We welcome you, and I look so forward to you having incredible health. Thank you for joining the revolution. It's time to have a fast metabolism.